So, now if you guys look down below, what I've done now, down below, this is where it gets a little bit confusing here, but I'll draw this out for you guys. So, we have the imperfective, perfective, and aoristic, right? But we also have the time of action, right? And what are the three times that we have?
Past, present, future.
Okay, so we have past, present, and future. So we have imperfective, perfective, and aoristic. What? What do we call those? Aspect, which are the type of action. And we also have the past, present, and future, which is the time of the action. So if we draw this up in a nice little chart, so we go 3 across and 3 down, then what we have is we have in different categories that we have different words that are going to explain what's going on. So let me just piece this together. If we have in the past tense an imperfective verb in past tense, okay? How do I draw imperfective verb? It's just a line, okay? So it's just a straight line. But if that continuous action, that duration action happened in the past tense, what do we call that verb? We call it an imperfect. So an imperfect verb is a verb that has continuous duration of action that happened what? In the past tense. That make sense? Okay? Now, if we continue on this, if we look at an imperfective aspect here, in the present tense, so what is an imperfective aspect going to be looking like? What if I'm going to draw it out? It's going to be what? A line, right? So I'll draw this continuous line. And if it happens in the present tense, it's called a what? Present tense verb. Okay? So when you look in your e-sword and you look in your tools to help out, if it says it's present tense, it is a present tense that's happening right now and it's a continuous duration of action. Okay? That makes sense? Now, as we look here in the future, there really is no imperfective future, so we're going to leave this one blank, okay? So I'm going to write blank here. Okay? Or non-applicable. Okay? Now, let's go to the perfective aspect. The perfective aspect, how do I draw that out, you guys? It's the dot, right? With ongoing results that impact into the future. Now, this perfective aspect in the past tense, okay, is actually going to be drawing a dot, right, with a line, and we call that what? You look on there on the sheet.
Pluperfect.
A pluperfect. So a pluperfect is an event that happened in the past and an ongoing impact of that event in the past tense. Okay? That makes sense? Okay? And we'll have examples. I'll have a bunch of verses to flesh this out so you'll see where these are applicable. Okay? Now, if we look in the present tense, a perfective aspect is going to help me. I'm just going to mirror this back to you guys. How would I draw out a perfective aspect? It's a dot with ongoing results. And a perfective aspect happening in the present tense, what do we call that? A perfect. Okay? That's called perfect. So, when Jesus sit on the cross, okay, when the author of John is writing about Jesus on the cross, he's writing it. He says, and then Jesus groaned out and he said what? It is finished. That's in the present tense. Okay? It's a present tense perfective aspect. It's a perfect thing. Okay? So, Jesus says, it is finished with ongoing results. Okay? Now, there is one here too that doesn't appear that much, but it is a perfective aspect that's happening in what? The future. And that's called a what?
Future perfect.
A future perfect. Okay? So that future perfect, you guys, that future perfect is an event that happens in the future with ongoing results. Okay? You're going to see a couple of these future perfects in what book of the Bible would you guess? Revelation. Yeah. And I'm sure they're elsewhere, but and I looked, you guys, and I couldn't find any, but I know there are some in Revelation where you think about the second coming of Christ. Okay? That event, it's not completed yet. Christ is coming back. When he comes back on his second advent, the impact of Christ's second coming is going to have everlasting results that continue on. Okay? That makes sense? All right. Down here, we have the aoristic aspect, and we have the 3 different times. And so, an aoristic, how do I draw an aoristic aspect?
Dot.
Just a dot. Okay? And when that happens in the past tense, what do we call that? Look on your sheet there. An aorist. Okay? So the most common form, you guys, of a past tense is just going to be called a what? Aorist. Okay? So when you guys look in your e-sort or in your tools, an aorist you can think of as a past tense, and then you have a present. Okay? And then we're going to come down over here. I'm going to draw what? This is an aoristic aspect, so how am I going to draw that out? A dot. And we're going to call that a what? Future. So the way that we use past, present, and future would essentially be here, past, present, and future. Okay? So those are going to be the 3 that we typically understand in our English language. Past, present, and future. It's going to be here, here, and here. But then Greek also has the perfective aspect, which is the dot with continuation that happens for the past, present, and future. Okay? The most common you're going to find is going to be this one, you guys. Is the perfect. Okay? So that's going to be the most common. Okay? So the most common ones you're going to find are going to be the aorist, present, future, and then also the perfect. The pluperfect is not going to be as common. Okay? The future perfect, like I said, is not going to be that common. And for the present aorist, you guys, we leave that blank. Okay? So that stays open. Okay? Does that make sense?